Hello, and welcome to A Little Room for Healing, where we talk a little bit about healing, and then we do a little healing, and then we talk a little bit more. I am your host, Joel, and today I have with me Robin Kidder, and I'm really excited to have you here, Robin. Thank you so much for coming in. As usual, we start with check-ins. So before anything gets going, let's check in with how we are feeling right now in this moment. And I will go first. A minute ago, I was feeling a little nervous and I was running around a little bit. So I was a little like uppity. And now I feel like I just dropped in real fast to this calm state. And that feels really nice. I feel really excited about having you here. Knowing without any expectation for today, just how our conversations go in the past. It's always exciting for me, and something happens for me. So maybe that will happen again today, and it's also okay if it doesn't. So that is where I am. How are you doing?
In my body. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Feeling a little left side tension, like my throat. There's a little flutter that feels like it's settling down. I feel this sort of opening that wants to happen, and also like a little bit of a squeeze on it. And yeah, I feel here, present. I feel very welcomed, and I'm feeling a sense of relief from what you said.
Which part?
Well, we've always had these really nice conversations together, and there was this way where you asked me to come here, and I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, we'll have another really deep and interesting conversation and more. And then there was a way where I started to feel like, oh, but is there expectation on that? And one of the things, as I was driving here, I was really with, no, I'm going to show up exactly how I am and work with that little feeling of wanting to show up in some kind of, way. And that's something that I'm working with a lot lately. Just like, here I am. Like, and you've mentioned that that's one of the pieces that you really work with in this project, is like, what's happening right now, what's true, and being in deepest service to that is really resonant with me.
I love that.
It's kind of my ethos. Yeah.
Okay, well, speaking of that then, I am curious about what's going on in your neck. And was it over here? There was some tightness, you said?
It was kind of left side. I was feeling it here on the left side of my neck, and a little bit of constriction in my throat, and it already feels like it's kind of released down, and it doesn't feel as strong. Just having the space to speak, I think, and in my own time.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. This is something that I've always felt being in your presence, and also just conversing with you and connecting with you, is how you were talking about how you really work on being with what's coming up and how you are, and just being you in the moment. And that is exactly how I experience you. And it always feels so refreshing and so enthralling in a way to be with someone that chooses to do that and is willing to do that. And so that feels really good in my system because I so much want to be with what's going on right now. Yeah, it's really beautiful. Is this something that you do? Are you able to maintain it in your day-to-day?
No.
Wherever you are?
No.
Okay.
I love it. I love it. No, I mean, I try. And that's like, it's my practice. I feel like this is the bringing it into life practice. And for me, it really is, I mean, gosh, I'm always sort of working with a different aspect of it, I feel like. Like what is, and right now, what a big piece of it for me is resistance. Like where is my resistance to the thing? Like where is it literally in my body? Where is the resistance to me being totally open to the sensation? And none of it is bad. Like the resistance isn't bad. Like sometimes it's actually protective and I need to have some closure somewhere, but it's just through observing it increases my, it strengthens my practice. It gives me space. It opens up a dialogue with whatever is happening and whatever beliefs are woven into that. That got a little bit heady just now. I noticed it. So part of the practice is like, okay, noticing when I leave this and I go up here and being like, okay, that happened. Like, can I drop that back down and be here?
Where did the headiness happen?
Where did the heady happen?
Where did the heady happen?
Where did the heady happen? I think it's when I'm working with a new piece and I'm cognitively like, oh wow, I make a discovery or I'm working with it and it's not fully embodied and I'm trying to explain it. Sometimes I go up there and it I think what you notice, like you're like, oh, but you love to feel the attunement that we have when I'm like dropped into this moment and you're dropped into the moment. Or not, if you're not dropped in, but you can feel someone else dropped in. It's like, oh, okay, I can be there. And it almost is like, I think of this a lot, that it's like of deep service for me to be in my body, for everybody in this space, like, because it's like a way that we can remind each other of like, okay, there's safety there. Like this person, it's like permission. Like you're dropped in, that gives me permission to drop in. Because if you're safe enough to be in your body and to be feeling all of the things that are in there, then maybe I can do that too.
Oh, that's so good. It's when I hear be safe in your body and feel all the things that's going on in there, like that is a challenge for me quite often. Sometimes it drops in easier and it feels more comfortable, and then when I'm really tuned into the subtle parts of the experience of being in my body, I get a little shaky,
hairy.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, that's awkward, that's uncomfortable, that doesn't feel good, that reminds me of something I don't want to think about. All that stuff happens.
Yeah.
But it also so helps you connect with the person next to you when you feel like they're really in touch with what's going on with them. There is a safety in that. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, I really hear you on that mental piece. Like I think of this sometimes a lot lately too, about how our mind really wants to know, it really wants to keep us safe. Like it's so trying to be good, and it's also like it has no fucking idea how to keep us. Can I curse on here?
Please.
It has no fucking idea how to keep
whatever
us.
comes up.
This is real in the moment. It's just so. That's just not its zone. Like the mind really doesn't know how to connect, and through connection, like this is actually the connection with myself, and then what that allows between me and my environment and other people in my environment. Like the mind is trying to mimic that by telling a story, which is, it's like, I remember this thing, and it's like such a facsimile of the real thing, and it's not attuned. It doesn't, like my mind really doesn't know what's happening. It doesn't know what's happening, and it thinks it does. And it's like this, it's amazing. This is why I love theory. Why I love feeding my mind like theory and frameworks and giving it the job of measuring and calculating and giving it things to judge, because it really wants to do that. That's really what it wants to do. It's like, okay, let's give you something there. And then also knowing like where its place is, and knowing where it pops up and tries to jump in and do a job that it's not, that I don't need it to do, that it's not well equipped for, creating safety and connection mostly.
In your healing work, not only for yourself, but when you facilitate for others, are you more somatic then?
What does somatic mean to you?
It means in the body. Of the body, and not necessarily needing a story to go with it.
I'd say most of my work is, most of my work. I help people have an experience, like a true experience in their body. And it depends, like what that experience is. It is different depending on what they're working with. But I would say that's like what I'm here in service to is a guide to an embodied experience. And there's many different ways and many different tools, and the mental piece that I was just talking about is like a huge part of that. Like, how do you give your mind something to do so that it can serve the experience and allow a deeper embodiment? And that's, I mean, just the practice of helping someone to drop in and letting them speak to what is happening in there, and helping, and I can, I have this, it's a skill, but I think it's also kind of a gift. Like some people are just naturally good at this. I'm naturally pretty good at this. Like I can tell when someone is up here and speaking from up here versus when they're in. Mm-hmm. And you probably can too. I mean, I think we can all feel that. But I help people by just being like, okay, there it is. Like you just popped up into your head. Did you feel that? Okay, drop back down. Drop the energy back down. And I work with like the central channel, because this is what I feel like this simplifies things when we just work here. All the way down, like root, our foundation, our capacity, our ability to create in the world, which includes the throat, and our crown, the lighthouse up here. These levels. And we always want to be dropped down into the root. And this is where we pop out of that most people. Some people dig in, like drop so far down and dig into that, and that's another thing. But I'd say most people, if I'm going to generalize, pop up and out.
The pop up and out is that I know that we've been saying it's heady in there, but can it also be past heady and into like the spirit realm above, where they pop out of their body and they're like, "Whoa, did you see?
Yeah.
Did you see that? You just jumped way up there."
Yeah, that's like dissociation or disembodiment. Yes, and I think like so. What's so interesting about plant medicine work and earth medicine work to me in this space is like it gives you this opportunity to just like pop in and out, and like how quickly can you pop back in? Can you be out there and also be in here, like playing with, because everybody's gonna get disembodied in life, like that's what happens, like we do that, and it's like it's the word I'm trying to find. This is what resilience is to me. Keeps us safe sometimes to jump out, because you gotta survival. That's the word I was looking for. It's survival. Sometimes you leave, and you go into your mind takes care of things in those cases, and it needs to, because we don't have the capacity to take in and feel everything that's happening, because our systems can't hold it. You have a certain nervous system, you have a certain capacity to experience like the sensations that are in the body. And if we go beyond that, what's going to happen? And what happens is unique to every person. Do you spill it? Do you shut down? Do you collapse? Do you like what, you freeze, like these things.
And when you say pop out, are you referring to when you pop out, not necessarily on purpose? What about...
Can be.
Because, I mean, you could do it on purpose too, but, okay, I'm saying, I think I'm trying to put into separate things the pop out on purpose, but you're still popping on purpose to get away from whatever's happening in your system. What about intentionally popping out to visit that realm and explore?
Yeah.
Would you say that's slightly different than the dissociated getting out of my body because it's uncomfortable? Or you could even have part of it in there and be like, I have to explore because I like to get out of my body.
Yeah.
You can make that excuse, if you will.
I mean, I
for it.
Definitely do like certain medicine work where I'm like, I don't have access to, I can't use this. If I were to try to like go and cook an egg, like it would not work. I have to like be there in this experience, and like being up here and be like, oh fuck, like there's like one little piece of me that can feel like, what's happening. But those are really, I do that in a very, very contained way. I take that very seriously. And that's like very intentional, really. And I think it's valuable. Totally. It's expansive. It's like, whoa.
Right.
What's available up there. And I do feel like for me, like I tend to be like I can get muddy. I'm like earthy and have a lot of water, and I kind of tend to root down and dig my heels in life. So for me, I feel like it's very helpful to have those experiences. I'm very grateful for medicine that can give me these experiences. That's totally changed my life, actually. Like the transformation of being able to visit up there without, there is a tension, but just kind of being able to go up there.
What does it do for you personally to be able to go up there? Knowing that you are one that really digs into the earth.
I think it just gives me the experience of, I don't have to be down there. There's another option. It's like I don't have to go so deep all the time. There's also up. And then I just get to carry that into my life. Like that, there's a, oh yeah, I remember there's an up. I remember that, like, actually, like, this is just one, what I see here is just one dimension. Like, I know there's, like, a whole other thing happening up here. It's like, oh, yeah, you're up there.
There's an up. It's like,
Yeah.
when do you need that reminder? Like, what would be happening that you might need that reminder that there's an up?
I don't know the answer to that.
That's fine.
I mean, maybe if I sat there with it longer, I might. Like,
did you hear my that's fine?
You're like those.
That's fine.
Check.
Whatever.
You want to get practical with it, though. You want to know, is this useful? Like, is that useful, and how is it useful? I feel like it's the integration of it. Like, it's not like, well, yeah, I gotta go. I mean, maybe it is, and I can't pinpoint it, but the integration of that has been, I mean, I think in the where I take myself so seriously, where I think the responsibility of, like, okay, it's my job to be the anchor here all the time, like that, like there's a liberation in that.
Oh, what's hitting me right now is it's a relief. It's like a release of pressure, because when I think of being anchored into the earth, which is great, and that's not something that I often do because I have a lot of root issues, but it feels like after a while you start to be like, I'm kind of getting compressed and being like, space, lightness, no gravity type of feeling,
like a relief.
Now, you said something else earlier about when you do that exploration, you do it in a contained way. Can you speak to what that contained way is and what that means to you?
Just a lot of ritual, like strong ritual, very held, very intentional, protected. I set myself up well.
Very intentional.
And I'll say I'm also very trial and error, so I have not always set myself up well. I tend to like be like, yeah, I'm going to try that. And then I like go into it and I'm like, oh shit, I don't want to do it that way again. That's kind of how I find my boundaries.
Yeah.
I find them the hard way. And that's just that's how I am. And I'm like, when I've tried to not do that, it doesn't actually work. And my life doesn't open the way it does.
When you try it the hard way, it doesn't work? Or what do you
No, I need to try it the hard way. I have to learn through.
Is there a way to find your boundaries an easy way? Maybe an easier way?
Easier way. Well, I feel like mine is, I don't know, I feel like I need a lot of pressure. I need a jolt to the system for me to embody wisdom, to like really get a lesson. That's just what my system requires. Like I can't go and just like read a book and be like, oh, okay, like that's the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to okay, and we're going to do it this way because it says so in the book. Like I like, so to me that sounds easier, but it also sounds like that's not who I am.
Yeah. I think about this a lot with me. I'm the same way. I am like, I am an experiential learner. I'm not oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense written out. Oh, I won't do that. It's like, I read that. I was like, oh, you shouldn't do that. And then be like, the body doesn't get it until I do it. I'm like, oh, that's why they said don't do that.
Yeah. Oh shit. Oh. Yeah. I mean, I love it. I love it. And it's also, it's a wild ride to live like that. Like, but I'm kind of I'm a space cowboy.
What are you open to speaking of maybe an example of where you went to a place that was like,
yeah, I will. And one that happened recently. I mean, I'm a medicine guide. Like I guide people on medicine journeys, and I have not been formally taught. I have learned through my own experience, and I've worked with people, but I've never had a teacher who was like, this is how you do it. I'm receptive and very open, and I learned through observing and then taking that in and been chewing on it and trying things. I experiment on myself, and I'm working with not a new medicine. I've been working with this medicine for 3 years, and on my own, and then like a little bit with other people, but I'm not serving them. I'm working with them as they experiment, because I have like partners who also work this way, who get me and are like, yes, we're doing this, and we do this together. And recently I had an experience where we stepped into serving this medicine to a few other people, like a small group, and there was a scare that came from like left field. It wasn't what I was focused on. I was very focused on the new people. I was like, okay, I'm going to take such good care of these people. We're going to be so measured and precise. And but my partner, who actually has experience, I was also serving her. But I kind of just trusted, like, she's got, like, we have a partnership, and when we're together, like, she's got herself, I've got myself, I have an eye on her, but I don't, like, I'm not worried about her. Like, she can take care of herself, and that's kind of how we move. But it was like when we opened up this circle to involve some other people, it shifted everything. It shifted everything, and I don't think I recognized how I am now stepping into the role of serving this to her and to them, and I kind of just, I didn't hold that with the gravity that I needed to. And she was fine, but she had an experience, and she was like, I feel like I took too much of this medicine, like, and she had asked for it. So I responded like, yes, here it is. And I wouldn't have given that to the new people. I would have been like, no, this is what we're doing. But it was like, I'm like, you got yourself. But no, when you're in a container, and the roles define themselves, and they change the container, even if you're not aware of it. That's what came through for me, was like, it was like, boom, I got it. This landed. I mean, I was up in the middle of the night, like, thinking about how much I cared for this person, and how, the other version of the story where it wasn't okay. And, I went there. I like, this is a way that I process and take in. My voice is shaking right now. I can feel it. Like, it really landed the responsibility of being self-guided, self-remembering in this work. I do believe these medicines are like they're our birthright. We're remembering how to use them. I'm straying a little bit, but I guess my point is I'm trying to give you an understanding of like how when something goes wrong, how it informs my like development as a practitioner and moving forward. And like what landed in a really big way was the responsibility, and how it was like all of a sudden, no, we don't play around. We're not playing around. Like I was integrating with her after that sleepless night where I was up and just like with the reality of the other timeline where she wasn't okay, and the consequences of that, and how it all unfolded, and my responsibility in that. And I was like, this is how we're doing it next time. And every time, like, it's going to look like this, and these are the things that need to change. And this is how I'm holding. And she was just like, yes, thank you. Yes. Like, she felt it. And I felt her relax and release in hearing that from me. Because this is what, like, when we choose to be fellow travelers and to move as we're moved to move, like, this is what it looks like. It looks like radical responsibility when you're not leaning into the structure of somebody else telling you how to do it, or of, oh, this is the practice, this is how you do it. It's like, okay, like, you're the boss. Like, you hold that.
Yeah, and it is a lot to hold. One of the main aspects of the journey to being a facilitator or a guide in that way is that you will come across the things that are just past the edge or that are uncomfortable, and that's part of the learning process. It's going to happen, and you're going to be in those really uncomfortable situations where you have to really look at yourself and go in there and be like, what caused me to do that? Why did this happen? What do I need to look at and adjust in myself or in the container that I'm creating? And it's really intense, really uncomfortable work sometimes.
It's very confronting. This was very confronting. I went back in time and was like, oh, here's where this pattern has shown up.
Oh yeah.
And look at the
Chills
window dressing that I did to make this look well held. Like, I had to really, I felt it. And the thing is I fucking felt it at the time, and I pushed that knowing aside. And I had to be with that. I'm like, but I'm just like, I'm so grateful that it was okay, and that I got to get this lesson not the hardest way. This was like, you know, the universe like gives us little whispers, and then it's like
100%.
Knock on the door, and then it will fucking take me out.
Yeah. When you
if I don't listen. If I don't listen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's also like, I find that the universe is also like, I'm supporting you what you're doing.
Yeah.
And here is a situation that's going to shake you up, but in the safest way I can shake you up. Because I do like where you're going, and I do like what you're offering the world, and I do like how you're growing, and I don't want to scare you away from it, and I don't want to hurt anybody. And so here.
You're so funny. You have this interesting, like, their character. The universe is a certain character, the way you describe it. For me, it's like, it's very neutral. It's so neutral. It's just like, nope, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. It's not personal. It's like, fuck.
You don't think the universe is like, I like what you're doing? I like where you're going?
I like you a lot. Do more of that. That smells funny.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? I like your character.
Interesting. I never thought of it being a character. I just thought of it. I thought of it as being like a teacher. I guess that's a character. Yeah. What about that seemed like that my person was not neutral because they liked what you're doing?
Yeah, they liked it. They liked it. Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, I guess it's kind of liking it.
Because the universe. So your take is that the universe is like, just don't do it that way. Don't do that. Like, I don't care what you do. Just don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do it that way.
Oh, this is interesting. Okay, I just got a vision of what actually it is. And there's tension in my body that is like, it's a million layers of all of the hits that I've taken and all of the energy that I haven't let move all the way through. Okay? That's the tension that's in here. Every little pop. And if I don't complete it, if I don't release it, there's a piece of it that's stored. There's all these fragments. And that is the character of what the universe is trying to clear through me. When I say the universe, I mean the energy of the universe that is moving through my body and trying to harmonize with itself by moving through this cleanly. It wants this clean. It's looking to harmonize. And in order to harmonize, it has to release. Basically, it's like Mercury looking for itself. It wants to join back with itself. And if it's trapped in here, I'm holding that energy in me. It's not actually mine. it belongs out here. It belongs back in the system, not trapped in here. It's not my job to carry that. So the universe is here working through me, bringing in, magnetizing the things that need to happen. And it'll do that a little bit. And if I'm really in service to it, maybe I don't need to get my ass kicked. Maybe I can listen to the whispers and get in alignment with what the energy is asking. The energy is like, okay, this thing needs to be worked out. This thing needs to be worked out. This thing needs to be worked out.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the next thing.
Yeah.
Does this make sense?
Total sense to me.
So it's like...
Does it make sense to you? It makes sense to me so much. That's my
I get
experience.
in alignment with the energy. I'm getting in alignment with the energy. That's what I'm doing all the time. I'm like, okay, what is it telling me to do? And how can I be of service? How can I make this as easy as possible? But also know that I move through kind of looking for the shocks, because that's just my system likes that. That's like... That's what I was born with. Like, we chose these bodies to have a certain experience. My body, I feel this. Like, my soul is like, yep, this is the body I want. I want this body that needs to be... It needs that in order to get the message.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know. It's fun. It wanted to have fun. It wanted to get punched around a little bit. It wanted to have really good stories to tell. It's like, wow.
It is. Yeah. It is. For me as well, it's fun. And I also don't like that it's fun at the same time. I also don't like that intensity is fun, because I get stuck in this intertwining conceptual reality where pain and pleasure, or discomfort and comfort, are like mixed together, and I'd really like them to be separate, but I'm stuck in this. I'm stuck in that.
Why do you want them to be separate?
Why do I want them to be separate? Because there's an egoic attachment that I filter everything through, in the fact that they are not that they are intertwined, and it gets me stuck. So now I'm creating a story that if I separate them, some patterns in my life will no longer be occurring.
Yeah. Fix that. Fix that thing real quick.
I've been trying for decades.
Can you fix that, please? Wow.
I've only tried for 1 decade, actually.
You've been trying to separate the two for a decade? I feel like I'm now seeing the opposite, actually. That if I can just get in alignment with the hard feelings, and feel them all the way through, then actually what they end up doing is, well, what I realize is even joy can be hard, like on my system.
Oh yeah.
Like
100%.
The thing that I try to separate, or like see the space between, is the thought and the experience in my body, and like, oh, those, and like see how those are not always what they seem, and how those are wired. They're weirdly wired sometimes. Like, your experience of pain is potentially like learned. Like, that's painful. It could be, it's like we learn that. You know, this is...
I definitely learned it. I had a specific thing that taught me pain and pleasure were intermixed.
I mean, you had like one of the grand programs placed into you.
Yeah. And something clicked in me when you were talking just a little bit ago, and when you were talking about feeling it all, I forget exactly what you said, but I'm going to talk about what clicked. I've been in the practice of, if I experience the pain and the pleasure and I go in there and I really feel the mixture of it all and I feel how uncomfortable it is, that I will then move through it and it will be separated. And it's still a goal of separating them. And something that just clicked is, oh, what if I just become aligned with that is what's happening in my body? I wonder what that would do.
What if there's no destination?
Then I'd have to work through the feelings.
Feeling of it. Oh,
the feelings of how much I want there to be a destination,
yeah.
Or that I've always thought there was a destination. I'm always like, oh, I'm gonna adjust it. It's gonna change.
Oh yeah, there's a way where we create these like funnels. We're like, can we just get through to the other side, please? And it's like, no, actually, like, can we just widen and like, oh, I just felt it. Like, can I expand here and get so wide that I have space and capacity to be with the entirety of this, whatever's moving, like, and not have to just squeeze it so that it gets out. Like, what else can I let this work inside of me? This is what it is to hold a pose. Like, to hold the pose of letting something work me.
Oof.
Is like, I mean, this is why I was up in the middle of the night and like, okay, I'm going to feel all of this. I'm going to feel my worst fear. And I'm going to imagine it happened. I'm going to let that in. Like, what does that feel like? And it's still there. Like, I still have, I haven't worked through, I haven't felt it all because I'm still, it's fine. Yeah. I don't know why I just went on that little tangent, but I feel you there. Trying to move through it. Like, can we just get over there? Thank you.
Oh my God, thank you. Thank you. Some of the things that you've been touching on over the last 10 minutes of expanding and to hold and clearing to be the channel and to let the universal energy move through are some of the things that 13th octave Lahochi aims to do.
Tell me what that is.
I feel this is the modality that I am going to give you a full session in moments.
Cool.
And I feel like this is the time to move into that.
Okay.
So I would like to invite, if you feel called to, make an intention for this session, and then we'll move into it.
I'm working a lot with reception lately, like just being able to receive and doing that through just working with my own opening, just being open. This feels very safe, so I feel like it's just awesome, like an awesome practice space for that. Yeah, this feels contained. Like, this is a safe place to practice opening, like as fully as I have the capacity to. And through that, to be able to receive the nourishment. That's what I want to practice with.
Great. Let's do it then.
Okay.
We will be right back after Robin's 13th octave Lahochi session.
Okay.
And we are back from Robin's session. How are you doing?
You're going to have to be more specific.
It's a very broad question. How are you? Okay, let me seek out a more specific question. Did anything stand out in your experience?
The phrase that came to me at the end was, "It is not easy to be in a body." Which is something that one of my teachers, Naveen Mishan, she says that. It's kind of a quip, one of her Naveenisms, as I call it. She's like, "It's not easy to be in a body." And I really felt that, just laying there. My job is to be, just receive this gift, and it was actually really difficult. It was very challenging, and it was almost funny. Like wait a second. That's what stood out to me, was this act of receiving, the practice of it. It sounds good. It sounds pleasant. Like back to our conversation about pleasure and pain and the these, it's just like, and the expectations of things. So that was one thing that came through.
Let's see. There's a question in there about the receiving that I had. Is it because it was physically difficult to receive? Was there discomfort in your body?
There was quite a bit of discomfort in my body and also just the recognition of, wow, I'm carrying this around all the time. And I could feel the urge to move and the urge to sort of press away my body did not want to I don't know if it was my body, but the program that was running did not want to receive the gift. Was like, I could feel the urge to almost want to get up off the table. This isn't a surprise. This is everywhere. It's everywhere. It's just like when you feel it on this micro level, and you feel the actual sensation of, or at least for me, when I felt the discomfort of being held lovingly and gently, as a gift, and with the opportunity to just relax into and receive, to feel that discomfort with that is there's grief in that for me. So, and it also was humbling. I felt maybe a little bit of a shame layer of, there's a little bit of, you should be able to. Wasn't really strong, but that was there. And under that, sort of a grief of, this is using the word birthright again. It's part of the, I know this is how I'm nourished. I know that this is a, it's the way we nourish, we give to each other. And to think that I have a program running that is trying to stop that. You know, it's just kind of wild.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I'm in a little bit. I have a little grief right now. I'm feeling. I feel it in my throat. Kind of feel some tears a little bit.
Mm.
I feel grateful.
It was interesting. Two things. One, how still you were on the table, and how you talked about you were like it was getting to the point where you're like, just get up, get up and stop this. But you were so still.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, you had some deep breaths. You were here and there, but so still. And then
there was so much happening inside, just so you know.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it seemed still,
I'm
whoa.
seeing that now.
Yeah. Sorry, I cut you off.
That's fine. And then there was this sense in me. There was this feeling as I was doing it. I was like, is she even wanting this right now?
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did that make you feel insecure? You feel like you maybe were violating or?
No, it didn't feel like a violation. It didn't feel like it was like oh my God, like she's not able to speak up and say, stop this. It wasn't one of those things. It was just like, it felt like something wasn't getting through. So it wasn't like you were like, Joel, please stop doing this. More of what you're talking about, but I didn't have the words for it at the time. I was just like, in my head, it was just like, it feels like there's a disconnect, I guess is the word that I'm thinking, or a block. And did it make me feel self-conscious, or it made me feel, what was that feeling? There was something in there. It wasn't necessarily self-consciousness as much as it was, I hope that it's doing something to benefit her. I think is what it was. Like, well, I just hope that it's benefiting her in some way.
Yeah, I'm very yeah, this practice of receiving, this is something that's been coming up a lot, is that it's actually like it's a gift to other people. Like you receive when you give. It's like I think we've even talked about this before, like it's like this reverberation back and forth. It's not, oh, I'm giving and you're receiving. It's like this thing, and it's like the more open we are and available, then the longer that resonance can continue, and the richer. And I don't know. That just seemed. It's just interesting, like how. Gosh, glad I have the rest of my life to practice this, because I've got ways to go. Like we're sitting on the table, or I'm on the table, and you felt that. It's like, yeah, I know that's everywhere. Like, isn't it amazing? Like what these practice spaces to like see what it's like. Oh yeah, everyone is feeling that on some level that I come into contact with. Like this, like, can she take it in? Is she taking this in? And also another thing that I mean, I feel this when when I'm giving something and someone says, yes, I'm available, but they aren't quite. I feel like the thing that I am trying to give like bounces back, and I have to digest that. Like it almost becomes like, I don't know, it's extra, or it's like too much vitamin B or something. I don't know. Like I have to, what am I going to do with this? Like, do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I've experienced that before.
It can make me sick sometimes. It can make me feel like, in like medicine space, it can cause nausea and things like that, I feel.
Oh, like giving and it just bouncing off and
Yeah.
coming back. Yeah, I can see that, and I've experienced. And I haven't experienced the nausea thing, but I've experienced the act of giving a gift and having it bounce off, and it is uncomfortable. And I want to say that that's not what I experienced. That isn't exactly what I experienced in there. And from what I'm getting from talking to you right now, is one, your intention wasn't necessarily I'm open to receive. Your intention was I want to work on reception. And so that's what you got was
working on reception.
A whole hour of working on the discomfort of reception for you. So
thank you for that reminder.
Yeah. That it seems like the gift was received in the way that you needed to receive it today. So that feels good to me.
Yeah, it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, I really want to get it right.
You want to get receiving right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, what is the right way to receive?
I guess with acceptance and approval and of where I am in that spectrum of experience. That's what I think the answer is. That's what I feel like you said something like that just now.
What I'm hearing you say is the right way to receive is an acceptance and approval of where you are in that. Yeah, that makes sense. So in a way to rephrase that, accepting, receiving in the quote unquote right way is, in this case, seeing that it's difficult to receive, and that is the receiving.
Yeah, thank you for being in that very, for holding that. It's hard. It's a hard spot to be invited to, like, I'm on your table, like I'm willing, I'm showing up, and then I know that you're saying like it didn't make you feel insecure, you didn't have like a bad experience with it, but I know that takes, I mean, that's the work, I guess, of holding the space. It's like keeping myself separate from that as much as possible and still being open to being a part of it, and just cleaning out my own, just trying to stay neutral. Good job.
Thanks.
Good job.
I think this is great, what's happening and what's like being brought up in you and shown to you. Like, how can we work on something that we can't see or really like feel or experience, and then be like, I don't know, my belief is that in order to work on it, we have to like really feel what it is that we're working on.
Yes, I really felt it, like, deeply. Yeah. also reflecting on the power of just another person's touch as a reference frame. It's like something to unwind around. Like even the gentlest touch, and maybe because it was the gentlest touch, I was just like so hyper aware of what needed to unwind and what is not normally, that I'm not even normally aware of. It really highlighted so much. And I don't get a lot of energy work. Like I get cranial work sometimes. I mean, I don't know if you call it energy work, what you're doing, like what you call it.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, I need to do that more.
I just had did you say you do some craniosacral? You get some of that work done?
Sometimes. I don't get much work done. I mean,
yeah.
That was another thing that came through on the table, was like, this is your work. This is work. It's actually is a part of it, and it's really important because I know that I'm not having these realizations like in an embodied experiential way without I mean, it was so funny that we were talking about I'm talking about getting the big hits, like going through life, like looking for these, high sensation, I guess, forms of learning. And then I get on the table and it's like this, I mean, it also was high sensation, but like with subtle stimulus. And it's like, it's a whole nother avenue. And yeah, I don't know. I got a message there that I need this work. I think I interrupted you.
That's fine. I was happy to hear what you had to say. It is a nice message to get. It's similar to what I was going to say. I had my first craniosacral therapy yesterday with Jennifer Sokolov, who was actually on the show on a Little Freeland podcast a little bit ago. And she does craniosacral, and she was working on me. And while she was working on me, she asked, do you get a lot of body work done? Like, do you yourself receive a lot of body work or energy work or body work at all? And I was like, no, I never do. A little bit here and there. I've just gotten some from some friends who do a little bit of Reiki on me when we're doing work. But I was like, yeah, I end up being a giver, and I'm rarely a receiver. Sounds like you're in that same boat.
Yeah, it's become more like that. I don't know. Since COVID, I think more. Like I never came out of the COVID sort of.
Did you get more work done on yourself
Before COVID?
Before COVID?
Before COVID, I was doing a apprenticeship at I was learning Chinese medicine through an apprenticeship. So I was in a clinic with a bunch of other practitioners, and we were practicing and working on each other, and it was, even there I didn't get a ton of work, but we also did a lot of movement work. And then before that I used to study with Naveen Mishan, the woman that I quoted, and she teaches a kind of yoga that's very different. It's Chinese theory based, and it uses the poses to sort of work with the central channel, and it's kind of a body work yogic practice.
2 questions. Do you utilize that in the work you do?
Yes, but I also am actively unlearning a lot of the things that didn't really embody that. Since I'm not studying it anymore, I'm trying to like let go of anything that feels like mental, and just use the techniques that resonate intuitively with me and what did embody and what has embodied. So I don't like hold on to the framework of it, of any of that, but I do use it all. And I still feel my teachers from those practices. Cool. Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Question number 2. When you were in these places of learning and then receiving in the places of learning, how was your relationship to receiving in that container?
I had a hard time. I was receiving in order to learn and to give it away. And that, I think that was one of the reasons why I had to stop. Because I was in this, like, what's the next thing I'm going to learn to give it away? What's the next thing I'm going to learn to give away? I was doing that for a really long time as a practitioner, and it, like, really didn't let me take it in. Couldn't take the practices in. And then in the past year, I've been working with a practitioner that I'm not giving away what I'm learning there. I'm just like, I'm actually receiving that. That's been big, because there is always this, like, how are you going to make it useful, like, story that I'm also trying to unlearn.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a block to being able to receive. It's a bypass. And I really am trying to lean into trusting that if I just, like, keep bringing it back in here, like, keep feeding and nourishing this, that it will spill over, and that actually is the gift to give. I mean, it's kind of cliche, but I've actually had the experiences where it's like, no, yes, that's it. That's a big part of my journey, I feel like.
What is the, oh yes, that's it?
They say, like, oh, you never serve from an empty cup. Like, just fill your own cup and it will pour over and it will nourish others. And it's like kind of a cliche, but it's really true. And I feel like I'm finally getting that. And I think it makes all the difference. Like, otherwise it's extractive.
From you?
I used, when I was learning the practices and just giving it away, like learning to give it. It's like, it's extractive. It's like, I'm taking from this to get something, to give it over there, to heal them. It's like, do you know what I mean? Versus I'm here receiving the teachings, this wisdom. I'm going to let this in and work me. And there's like feel that. It's like, it's a humility. It's like being on your knees for me. Which is something I always have to work on. Like remembering that that's the place for me, is in this just thank you. Place of gratitude, and I'm here for it. Showing up, willingness, on my knees, like service. I kind of lost the thread there.
That's fine with me. I'm now interested in
the place of, I was talking about, like, receiving it and taking it in, like receiving the wisdom of the teachings, like actually healing myself, or allowing them to heal, letting them in to heal me, and then trusting whatever comes out of that. Like, this is why it's funny, I think, to like go to Chinese medicine school, because it's like, well, have you been receiving it for, like, how do you know you want to do that? It's a big investment to make. I actually thought about, I wrestled with that for a long time, like, because I was studying Chinese medicine, but I wasn't going to be licensed and all these things. And I really wrestled with, do I want to go to Chinese medicine school and, accrue all that debt and put myself through that, even though it didn't, school never really worked for me.
We have that in common. I am curious about where you were in that moment. You said you lost the thread because it seemed like you were...
Probably something was opening.
Yeah.
So my mind was like, fog.
Yeah. Something was opening. You were like tapping and touching in on something.
Yeah.
And then you go, and then you're like, oh, that's a thread. And then you're like, and then you jumped away from that, which is fine.
Yeah.
But I am curious if you're willing and interested in looking at that humility thing and to see if there's anything in there.
Yeah. I'm interested.
Like, what is the feeling that comes up when you think of that kind of humble reception of learning for yourself in order to spill over to give?
Or not.
Or not spill over, just learning for yourself.
What comes up when I reflect on being on my knees, sincerely on my, in that posture, as a student. I mean, there's a fear comes up. There's a fear that I'll be, this is interesting, forced or coerced or have no choice and be indebted to something. It's gotten a little foggy. This is really challenging to stay with. I'll tell you that right now. Yeah, there's this. It's not trusting. Her. This force that might lead me into a very small life where nobody sees me and it's quiet and it's not recognized and it's not my preference. It's a fear of giving and giving and giving and then not getting what I want. That's what the extraction feels motivated by. This part that's scarce. It's I'm not gonna get mine. And it's punishing. It's okay, get in there and do it. You go learn that thing and then take it and go and put it over there and make it look pretty and oh look, they like it. It's not pretty.
It's a fear of not getting yours, so you just
not trusting that if I just take care of this form and let the medicine in and take the medicine and just keep working with the medicine and keep letting it work me and keep following what it's telling me. If it's telling me to you're here to scrub these floors. And I'll tell you when it's time to not scrub the floors, and you might scrub the floors the rest of your life. That might be it. I don't know. But the message, they don't come like that. The messages come scrub the floor, it's dirty.
It's a fear.
It's like, okay, this is the thing. It's the not trusting that there will be anything beyond that.
It's a fear of what's on the other side of receiving what the healing or what you need.
Yeah, like, and it not being to my preference, and an impatience. There's an impatience in it, and there's a demand, and there's a domination in it, like. Preference. It's, I want it this way. I want it to look like this. I want to get this at the end of it, and I would like to get paid a lot. Wrong job. Fuck.
I know.
So I feel like that's something. It's big.
So if you just receive to give, you have control over the outcome of the input that you're taking in.
Or something thinks it has control over that.
Yeah,
it's
part
like,
of you does.
Yeah, it's not. It's my mind saying I don't really trust that it's gonna come, that the thing, and it thinks it knows what my mind thinks it knows the best outcome, which is make good money, have a cohesive like business plan and a social media presence and whatever. Like it thinks it knows. And the truth is maybe I'm supposed to be like, not that thing. Maybe I'm just supposed to be a practitioner and like, I don't know, do oil changes or something. Like take like
on people.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
It's a new modality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there like that quiet life of a healer? Is you want a more out in the world life of a healer?
There's a fear that I have that I will not be able to like survive on planet Earth. And I do believe, I have a belief here that it's part of the spiritual like journey to learn how to survive in the world. Like this is a little bit mental. It has not even totally like landed in my body, that belief, but it's like I hold it's there and I'm like there's something in this that is true. But I'm also impatient for that. I want it to look a certain way. Sometimes I look at it and I'm like, well, you have everything you need. Like I have everything I need. I don't have a guarantee for the future that I will always have everything I need. And I think that that's actually what it is. It's like, my mind wants that. It really wants to be like, you'll never have anything to worry about. It's like, what? Like, that's the benchmark for being okay with what we have right now.
Right.
I also think there's a lot of egoic like identity in like being a healer, and I've kind of like walked away from that and been like I don't even have a business card, I don't have a title, I don't call myself anything, like you could figure it out. But like on the funny thing is like it's kind of pendulated over to the other side where sometimes I'm like, oh, that's part of my identity now. It's like I identify as this like rogue, don't try to label me like magical, people who know. This is embarrassing. Is this whole podcast like me just telling you all of my like the ugliest parts? Maybe you should rename it.
Rename what?
A little room for being ugly. For showing you're ugly.
A little.
No, I laugh at it. It's okay.
I think it's incredible what you're looking at and uncovering, especially in this setting.
It's wild. Thank you. It's wild to think like how these things do pendulate. Like,
There's like no, it seems
It's
like
never ending.
it's just, I
figured it out over
finally
here.
detached from that egoic identity just to go, now I'm the one who's detached from that egoic identity. Look at me.
Exactly.
Yeah. I've fallen victim to that, as I'm sure many others have.
Yeah. Thank God we can commiserate and come back into. I mean, I love humble. Humble is like one of my favorite experiences now. Humbleized, being humbled.
Being humbled?
Yeah.
Like,
is there wood to knock on around here? Like, I'm knocking on cardboard.
I'm happy with the result, but the process of doesn't feel very good.
I know, but the quicker we can get in alignment with it, it's
That's
like,
true.
okay, all right, yep, here it is. Whew.
It is. I do find that when I land in the result, and I'm like, oh,
what's
man,
the
look
result?
at what I was doing. The humble, like being humble. And
When
whenever
you land in.
when I land in the humility and land in the, oh wow,
Yeah.
look what I was doing.
Yeah.
Like that feels really good, and it is expansive. The process, and then I can be like, oh, I really enjoyed that. Looking back, I'm thankful and happy for that process. In the process, it can be quite uncomfortable.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I mean, especially, it was funny because we have this talk and I'm like, oh, that was such an interesting conversation we had before going on the table. And then it's like, oh man. I really appreciated that you reframed my sort of perception of reception and what I was here for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, ego. Wow. I'm okay with it.
Yeah. I even want to add that you came here and you were open to being in whatever came up in this time together, and you've totally done that. And then you were like, I want to work on receptivity, and you did that.
Thanks. Thank you.
I think like I am grateful for your presence and what you came here and opened yourself up to and shared and talked about and looked at. Like, incredible stuff on my end.
Thank
as
you.
a witness.
And a partner. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Are we done?
We can be.
I mean, we could probably also keep going.
Yeah, it's about time to close up. It feels like a nice ending, unless there's
Feels
something
like a
else.
closure.
Yeah, unless there's something else that wants to.
Let me see if there's anything else in there. I feel very grateful. I feel like thank you. Thank you for holding and creating the container to have real connection, and it feels very loving and generous. And it's inspiring to me. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that. That feels good to hear. Appreciate that. And you're welcome. And happy to do it. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for doing all the work you just did. That's inspiring as well to me. And I am excited, and I want to let everyone know why. If you tune in to the next episode after this, we're turning the tables. And Robin is going to hold space for me and do what she does. And we're going to look into what's going on inside of me in that moment when we're together. And I'm really looking forward to it. And I always like the way that she is present with me and holds space for me. And I really looking forward to getting a little vulnerable myself on this podcast. So tune into that one. And I invite all of you to make a little room for healing in your lives. And we'll see you next time.